perfection. And keep in mind, right, I usually make plenty of comments about the quality of model railway manufacturers. That includes Hornby, that includes Bachmann, that includes Sonic models. But there are certain models where I can say with ease, yes, these are their top standards for what they can do. And for Hornby, I think the J36 is definitely one of their top standard locomotives. This was actually one of the first locomotives that I bought when I got back into the 00 gauge hobby. I tried a bit of N gauge, that wasn't satisfactory, and then I built a shunting puzzle layout, and some of the oldest subscribers will remember the shunting puzzle. It's practically deconstructed at the moment, but it did exist, and there is footage of this engine running on that layout. Of course, I went for this locomotive because I told I believe it was the model shop in York, and I asked the guy behind the counter, I want to build a small Scottish branch line layout, what's a locomotive you recommend? And he pointed me squarely at this one. And I can't say he was wrong, because it is a gorgeous model, and it has an ace up its sleeve construction-wise. Allow me to demonstrate. Eh? Well, that bit's dead. Okay, so what I wanted to say was the entire boiler is die-cast. And with the amount of detail that's at the firebox end, at the back end, and with the construction of this engine, I can't in good faith say that this isn't one of Hornby's best locos from recent times. Like the valve gear has been completely depicted between the frames, or at least a small representation of it. I shouldn't say that it was completely done. It has a full plate for if you want to couple it closer, but who does close coupling on a train set layout? Like I said, the whole back end is completely modeled. The gauges aren't painted, and I fitted a driver, so it's not that visible, but it's about the idea. I did go and ruin a bit of this model because I fitted it with coal. However, this is charcoal, and it doesn't have the same... stupid lisp. It doesn't have the same sheen as actual coal. And I did a bit of rust splashing on the tender. But the thing is with this model is that its construction makes it so maintainable. I've taken this engine apart more times than I can count. Okay, I've never really disengaged the motor, but I've cleaned, the inside of the bearings and everything. And this is, I believe, that a standard. This should be the standard, the way that this is constructed. A small engine made of die cast and, very, very maintainable to the point where I am comfortable with handling this much. And there are locomotives where I'm not comfortable with handling them, like my Hornby Merchant Navy. In fact, I've handled this one so much that some of the paint or tempo printing has actually let go, so to speak. And it has quote-unquote broken in my care. The side plates on the edge of the tender I have had to reapply with super glue once because they just fell off. But if you can just repair your models like that, then, no harm done. This model is fitted with a flywheel, and honestly, flywheels are good. I have nothing against flywheels, but this locomotive shouldn't have it, because it is a relatively small motor. It's one of the cases where the top half of the boiler lifts off when you try to undo it from the chassis. Because such a small motor has to turn such a big flywheel, this locomotive struggles on the lower ends of the speed scale, which in itself is annoying when this is it's a branch line goods locomotive basically, so it never would really be going fast. So your controllability of this locomotive is limited, so to speak. Though on DCC, of course, I have fewer issues with this than I had on analog, because this one has since been fitted with DCC. But this is one of those engines where a small addition to the locomotive completely makes it look right, and completely makes it right for my layout. And that addition is... I'm still very happy that this was included, and I don't have any other steam engine that has this. It has a snowplow. I run a winter setting, so having a snowplow included is just, it completely makes this model right for my layout. One thing though with the snowplow is when it is hooked on correctly like this, and this little bar is resting atop the coupling hook, it will catch itself on points. So what I usually do is I lift this up and I push it over. Thank you, autofocus. So then you would have it looking like this, and yeah, it's not correct, but it then functions, and then I'm a very happy chappy when this is just running with the snowplow. Cool, I forfeited the ability to pull things backwards, but oh well. At the end of the day though, this is an 060, and my luck with 060s would have it that this thing cuts out on random moments, like even on the straights. So especially this one I have to keep very, very clean, which is not an issue because the brake rigging just disengages and then you can flip it that way. So when it's then flipped over, you can take off the base kip plate and take the wheels out and use a bit of contact cleaner, channeling my inner 00 Bill, to keep it clean. And like I said, it's such a simple locomotive. You know, outwardly, it is the usual 060 freight engine, even if it is North British, so it always has that more rugged look. But it's a shame that not all 060 models are created equal, but I am happy that this is one of the better ones. But I mentioned performance. I mentioned how the flywheel sort of gimps that performance. But this one knows a party trick. Out of sheer curiosity as to what it could bring to the table, I purchased a Hornby J36 TTS sound decoder. First thoughts are that it does seem a wee bit shrill, very little bass to be noted. But that does not mean that it isn't an awful lot of fun to mess around with. There is something oddly therapeutic about being able to control your locomotive in such a way. And here is that dreaded cutting out. This locomotive just has it far worse than any of my other tender locos, which at first thought makes zero sense because most of those other tender locos have 6 to 7 axles capable of picking up power, so why this one has such a rough time in curves beats me. If anything, the sound now makes it more obvious when the J36 does cut out. But, like I said, having a locomotive actually chug along with our train is just a lot of fun. It does make me curious what a diesel TTS sound file is like. Someone did say that the Railroad Class 47s were worth checking out. Does the sound absolutely make the model for me? Absolutely not. I actually struggle to see why people would go out of their way to pre-purchase sound-fitted locomotives, considering the quality of the files vary between manufacturer to manufacturer, and even loco to loco. Getting back to what I think of the Hornby J36, they are cracking pieces of kit. Maybe not strictly one of Hornby's best, but up there, no doubt. Though, again, shame about that flywheel. Really, every Steam layout needs something like this. Something that's not flashy or even big, Something wee that can go anywhere and do anything. This model is the perfect fit for my setting, and I hope that many more small Scottish locomotives are to come in RTR. With that being said, I've run out of meaningful things to say. Thank you very much for watching, and here's to good running. Cheerio.